Karen Rontowski is our first guest. Karen's going to be with us for the next couple hours. From her network debut on The Late Show with David Letterman to Comedy Central and Comics Unleashed, Karen's show is getting great reviews. The late, great David Brenner says, even if you can't spell Karen Rontowski, you better remember it because she is great. Karen describes herself as having an optimistic outlook. Everything is coming up roses when you talk to Karen. So what if her therapist says that she's in complete denial? Karen has been performed with many, many legends such as Bob Hope, Ray Charles, and the Monkees. She's often described as a new age hippie. She's in Vegas doing different performances. She has toured all over the country, 45 of the 50 states, Canada, Japan, Greenland, and all over Europe. She's also entertained the troops with tales of her Polish father who once put a drawbridge on their house. Anyway, we've had her on the show a couple times live in the studio. You go check out her website at KarenRontowski.com, and she is just a lot of fun and one cool person. So let's go ahead and get her on the line. Karen, good evening. Welcome to K-Talk and the Fringe Radio Show.
Hi, thanks for having me again, you guys. How's things?
Well, things are good. Busy as heck, but that's life, I think.
I know it is. I have to shorten that bio or that resume a little bit. I have to put something together to make it shorter for people. Thanks for having me. I'm sitting here with my coffee, and I know it's only 5 in the afternoon, but I'm pretending it's like midnight.
Oh, really?
And, yes, I thought that would make it a little scarier.
It's 5 o'clock somewhere always. That's what my drunk dad used to say.
That's right. It's always time for a cocktail. Well, good for him.
Yeah. So anyway, how are you doing? It's been about a year since we've talked, and I know that your schedule has been really, really busy, and of course I know that you're into the paranormal stuff. But I thought we'd talk about all kinds of stuff tonight and just have some fun.
Absolutely. Up to you. Yes, I have been incredibly busy. And I'm off to Vegas on Monday, so if anybody's around the MGM, come see the show. I just got back from the Pioneer Paranormal Convention. I hosted that up at the Glen Tavern in Santa Paula, and we have too many cities in California that start with Santa. A little while ago, I had done. At one point, I was doing about 209 days on the road a year, and I decided that was too much, and I opened a tarot business thinking, because I had been reading cards for about 20 years, and I thought, well, I'll do half the time on the road and half the time doing tarot, and that'll be great. But unfortunately, I gave myself 2 full-time jobs. So that's really, if I'm not on the road, I'm reading somebody's future. So, believe me, having too much work is a wonderful problem to have.
Well, it is because so many people, are. I mean, I think things are starting to rebound a little bit, but so many people have been out of work and have taken massive pay cuts, and not to be doom and gloom, but a lot of people's lives have been just turned upside down. And to have work and to be able to go somewhere and do something that you love, and I know with your work you love that, and I think that's, if you can make that all work, that's you're blessed.
Yeah, double fold, because it's 2 things that I love.
Yeah.
So that's wonderful. But it's been quite a good. It's been a pretty good year for me, and I hope it is getting better for people. It seems like it. And it's funny because the biggest thing, too, I would like to see, I think people are so hesitant to be okay with hope for the future because it's been so hard for so long, but I really do think it looks like it's getting better.
Well, it seems to be. It does. It seems to be for sure. But it's, again, it seems like the job market is turning around, but then we hear about all the doom and gloom, too. There's so much of that as well.
I think that's really the thing is I don't know if I believe anything on the news right now. I know that most of my friends are doing better and getting work, and that's pretty much what I can look at. But I am I don't know. I get so discouraged with the news.
Yeah,
it's easier to. I have a little app on my phone called Inka Binka, And it's terrific because it gives me all the stories and the headlines with no, not leaning left and not leaning right, and I can just get everything and go boom, and it's done without, commentary or slandering one way or the other. So I love that.
Yeah, somebody putting their own, everybody putting their own twist on things.
Yeah, because you can get different stories all over the place. But and I was just out in lovely Utah working with a nice little corporate gig out there, and it was beautiful. It was not raining; it was beautiful.
Well, we didn't have we had no winter this year. I mean, we had a little bit of snow back in, we had some snow back in, right around in December. There was a little bit of snow, but that was about it. I mean, winter just kind of passed us by.
Yeah, well, my parents are in Massachusetts, and they took all the winter for us.
Yes, they did, and we want to thank them for that as well.
I know. No, if we can just have a little bit of the water, I'll be happy.
Oh, I know. So, for our listeners that have never heard of you before, how did you get started into comedy? How did that all come together for you? Because you've been doing it a long time, and you've been so successful at it.
Oh, well, I think when I was little, I always wanted to be a comedian. In fact, I think that I performed at the church spaghetti dinner one year in the 70s, and I don't even think I was 10, and I had such a good time. But, when you grow up in Pittsfield, Massachusetts, kind of like, we weren't show business people, and you kind of thought, how do you become a comedian? Those people are very special, and they must have help. And then I went to college in Boston and Fitchburg, and I was watching on TV. And then I flew out to Vegas and became a cigarette girl, met a bellman who was a comic, and he said, why don't you come do an open mic? And I went out and I did the open mic, and I was terrible. I only got a laugh on my first joke, which was an old joke, and then nothing else I said was funny, but I was done. That was what I was doing with the rest of my life. That was it.
So you took your beating the first night, and then it's been good from there.
Yeah, but you know what was funny? I didn't even take it as a beating because I was so thrilled that I got up and did it that it was just a huge success to me. And then it was just more and more about getting up, more times and doing it more. And people don't understand how long it really takes before you're funny. A lot of the comedy channels, they like the younger people, and they just don't have as much life experience. But, you just keep growing, and it doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, that lousy set is right around the corner every time. So you just got to enjoy what you do and keep making it exciting for yourself.
Now, you were on, and people can go out there and take a look at that on YouTube. You were on The Late Show with David Letterman, and also I'd like to get some of your thoughts. Of course, this is this is his last week.
Yeah. Well, my story with them is really, I'm really a road person. This sounds terrible, but I'm not very Hollywood and not meaning that Hollywood people are bad, because they're not, but I just never really I like to tell my jokes and go home, and I don't really hang around much, and so I've never really been in the clique, and I just decided to send my tape to all the TV shows, and sure enough, a year after I sent the tape, the guy that booked it, Eddie Brill, called me, and he said, you will be the second person we have ever booked off a tape in my career at the show. And so I flew all the way out to New York to audition, and the producers didn't like me. So it was a no, and this guy stayed with me for like 5 years, just checking in and being a friend. And then one day he saw me at something, and he said, it's time. It's Waycast time. You're on. And I got on, and it was just amazing. And it was even more amazing because at the end of my set, Dave called back one of my jokes, and I had never seen him do that before, and I was so flattered and thrilled. It was just wonderful.
Well, that's such an, to be on with Letterman or Johnny Carson or any of those people, that made or broke people. To get a shot like that, that's huge.
Yeah, and you know what? I really have to say this is something that I think people will miss from the show, which is the Letterman people always decided who they liked. They really never got swept up in who was popular, or you know what I mean. They really kind of they kind of stuck to what they liked, which was really really good. Because sometimes it's hard. I know. You know, I was in line for a second one, and he announced his retirement, and it just became like it was a madhouse then. In fact, I heard from them a couple weeks ago, and they said, we'd love to have you on, but we ran out of spots. Yeah. And the last month was just for Dave's personal friends. So, but you know what? I am not complaining because the first one was just great. And now we just keep moving. But I think TV is different now in that, I mean, it was always about ratings, but really I feel like there's, you know, he really did what he was going to do. He wasn't pushed by anyone. That's why he always had that reputation with GE, and that's kind of why he was great.
Yeah, and well, you know, he's kind of it's kind of sad. I guess it kind of dates us a little bit with our age, but it's he's the last of it. I mean, now you've got Jimmy Fallon and Jimmy Kimmel, and then this new fella that replaced Craig Ferguson on Channel 2, who I kind of liked for the first couple shows. Now he's just, to me, it seems like he's just really trying to push the limits. But that old guard, you know, I was watching the other night. I've always watched Letterman, and Don Rickles, you know, here 90 years old, he's still playing Las Vegas.
Yeah,
and that whole regime, that they're all either retiring or they've passed on.
Yeah, and I don't, you know, this is terrible, but I really like Conan. That's the next. I'd love to take a shot at Conan because I really think he's very good. And I actually haven't seen the others because I don't have a TV.
Really?
I know. I'm on the road so much that it's not worth it to have cable, and then I just got used to it, and I kind of turn on the computer, and so I don't know. But I am really excited about, you know, a lot of people don't know Stephen Colbert that's taking over for Letterman. He's a song and dance man. Like he was, so there's a whole shift that's going to come that might just be wonderful.
Really? I don't know. I heard the name, but I don't know. Is he supposed to take over right away, or are they going to do like Craig Ferguson and let it go for 4 or 5 months? With it was some really. I used to really like Drew Carey until he hosted the show a few times, and now I can't stand him.
Oh, you know, I don't know. I think that they might take that over fast. But I know Stephen Colbert is on Comedy Central, and his show was always very political and very left, and I think a lot of people got upset and got nervous, but that it was going to be the same thing. But I don't think it is because, like I said, not only is he a song and dance man, this is a general show. They don't really, you know, you will probably always know which way the host leans when they do this, but they're going for the general audience. You know, I don't do politics in my show. In fact, I always tell people my job is not to convince you of anything. My job is to make bigger mistakes than you so that you can laugh at mine and feel better about yours. And I think when they walk into that late night thing, that's exactly what it is. It's to entertain everyone so nobody, you know what I mean? It won't be left or right.
Right. Well, what I really appreciate about you, Karen, is I saw your show here in Salt Lake, and of course, a couple different events we've both been to. But where I really have to take my hat off to you is you don't get up there and drop the filthy 4-letter words constantly. So many of these young comics, I'm not big into going to comedy clubs, but even the night we came and saw you, I've gone. You know, we were at that one, and we went to a few others, and it just seems that some of these young people. They feel that by throwing, you know, just nothing but foul language out makes them funny, and it takes talent to come up with material that makes people laugh, and yet you can have a senior citizen there, a person in their 20s there, a person in their 50s, or even a young kid there, and not worry about it. I mean, you know, it's all up to the imagination, but you don't need the filthy, raunchy language to be funny.
Right. Well, that's what I try, and that's really what I believe. And I, you know, my parents buy my CD, so I try to keep it, you know, and I charge them. Don't mistake me there; they pay double. Yeah, that's just my thinking, and I think also it's very funny because I always try to get someone somewhat clean in front of me, and that's almost nil now because the line of what used to be dirty and or unacceptable has been moved way forward, you know. So, all you can do, which is really all you can do in life anyways, is do your own thing and, hope that people follow. In fact, I have been, now I have mixed the two. I do a monthly show in Burbank at Flappers called Psychic Stand-Up because I have been, for the last few years, my friend Lamont Ferguson, he partners up with me, and we do an hour of straight stand-up. He's also very clean. And then we take questions from the audience, and I read the tarot, and he goes around and gets the questions. Of course, we're riffing with the crowd the whole time. So it's very funny, and it's very, and we're doing real readings. Mm-hmm. And the club has just gone crazy. They're booking us with this all the time. And now the show that I have every second Tuesday of the month, I have two mediums that come in. And the mediums do a little reading, and then we do comics come up, and then I read for the comics. So it's kind of funny how the two worlds have collided.
Wow. Yeah, very interesting. Well, tell us a little bit about your tarot work.
Well, I've been a student of the tarot for about 20 years.
Now, why don't you, if you can, if we could even step back, for those who don't know what that is or they've heard the term, why don't you define what tarot cards or tarot reading is, just for those that have heard it but they don't understand it?
That's funny. I've never been asked that question. Well, tarot cards are where our original card deck came from. There are 78 tarot cards, and the deck of cards that we now play poker with and go to Vegas and see, those actually are derivatives of the tarot. The four suits that we have, hearts, are actually in the tarot. They're cups, spades are swords, clovers? Clubs are actually wands, and hearts, something like that. I'm ahead of myself now. But the cards are actually, they're used as, instead of someone that can sit and just pull things out of the air, the cards give more direction. And they're actually archetypes of, they kind of coexist with dreams, like Jungian archetypes. Mm-hmm. And as I do a layout, I know what all the different cards mean. And I look at this layout. Somebody will ask me a question, how is my marriage going? I can do all the cards in a layout and see exactly how time is flowing. It starts with the past, then it goes to the future, to where you are now, into the future. And it's really an amazing tool. And I started it because the cards are very different in that when you really get to study them, as my teacher has told me, it takes lifetimes to understand the tarot. And every card, every symbol, every color, everything on there has a very specific meaning. And as you learn more and more about these cards, you learn how they all fit together. You learn the directions of the universe that they go in. Mm-hmm. I actually sometimes will help my friend that finds, she's an animal communicator. If she can't find a lost pet, she'll call me and I'll hit the tarot cards and I'll go, he's at the statue at the Northeast. And it's very interesting how that works. But they are a sort of a tool for telling people their future, or as I say, the path that they are on right now.
Wow.
Does that cover it?
Yeah. So do you kind of, so now you kind of do a show then with that? I mean, you obviously, do you do private readings as well, or do you incorporate that into a show?
Yeah, I do private readings during the day and then the show at night. And, of course, it moves a little quicker at night. And I tell people, tarot is very hard. Like, people don't want to hear the truth. And the other day I just told this woman, I said, you need to leave that man. He's crazy. And she said, I know, but he's still your father. So you have to be careful. But no, I do my readings during the day, and then I do my shows at night. And sometimes, like in Vegas this week, it'll just be regular stand-up. But when people ask the questions, it's always very funny because it's after a comedy show. And so they're in the mood, and sometimes they're not sure if it's real, or so we just have a blast playing with them.
Wow. Well, that sounds like a lot of fun, and helps people.
You know, it is a lot of fun, and it's also a marketing disaster because there's no way people come for the clubs and they go, wait, is it tarot or is it comedy? What's going on there? So we just haven't quite yet found the right marketing formula, but it's absolutely a lot of fun. And then a lot of times people will call me after for readings, so it's a very good advertisement, too.
Oh, sure. Well, sure. Well, people want to, you know, I believe that, now let me ask you this. Okay, I'm jumping ahead of myself a little bit. Do you consider yourself, and I think I've asked you this before, but do you consider yourself a psychic or have psychic abilities or maybe abilities to read the tarot? Is that something maybe out of the psychic realm?
It's absolutely out of the psychic realm, I would say, because if you just kind of plop the cards down and try and do something, it's not that easy. You have to have something going on. But I thought, my logical mind said, if you learn everything there is to know about these cards, then you should be able to read them in a layout. So that's what my first plan was. But the more you learn about the cards, the more intuitive and psychic you get. And now when someone will say, can you tell me about my brother? Mm-hmm. I will, as I'm doing the layout, I will almost instantaneously get a picture of the hair color and the size of the person. And I'll always say, is this person tall and slender with dark hair, or does this person have freckles? I get something about the appearance. So the two really work together. I would say they're a tool that one enhances the other. And for people that don't think they have psychic ability, it's a great place to start. And then you can kind of, because now I do get things on my own, not as, you know, my other friends are psychics, so it's not quite as easy. Sorry, police are coming. Give me a second to duck under let me duck under my desk for a minute. There, they didn't see me. But yeah, I think they do coexist together, and mediumship is the only one that I feel is a little different. I would never sell myself as a medium or someone that talks to the dead. Every once in a while I can get a flash of something, right. But a couple of my friends are mediums, and they're phenomenal, and I don't even know how they do it.
Did you know, this ability to work with the tarot cards, is this something that started for you at a young age, or was it something that drew you to it? I mean, that's how, you know, I've talked to different people, you know, whether you're talking to a psychic or a medium or different people in these fringy areas, if you want to call them that. A lot of people say that, you know, they were just drawn to this for some reason. Did it draw you to it, or was it just something that was, you know, was very inquisitive to you that interested you to get started in all that?
No, I would say I very much believe in past lives, and I would absolutely have to have said I've had at least one past life with these cards, because they are continually fascinating and one of my favorite things. And I have read for 20 years now. I have read book after book after book, and I never get bored. And I don't like to read, but I have every tarot book imaginable, and there's something that I can get out of all of them. So I think it's something like that, because these are my thing. You know, like I said, it's very funny. My whole Facebook page is either comedians or psychics or mediums, and yet my parents are still the strangest people I know. But I think everybody gets drawn to a certain thing, and that is my thing. When I was a kid, I actually had one experience that was pretty intense, where it had to do with my sister was swimming. My sister has epilepsy, and she gets seizures, and she was swimming, and she turned to look at me. We were in the ocean, and she said, "Oh, my God, I'm going to have a seizure," just as this big wave came. And so I ran over, and I grabbed her, and I started to run her to shore, and then I thought, you know, something said no, and I started to run back out into the water, and as we jumped, the only thing that made it over the curl was her head, so that so we didn't get tumbled and pulled back, and you know. And when we got to the shore, I said to my father, "She was standing right next to you. Why didn't you grab her?" And he said, why would I grab her? And I said, because she screamed, and he said, she never screamed. And then I said to my sister, I heard you scream at me, I'm going to have a seizure, and she said, I never screamed. So I think that was probably my first psychic experience.
Yeah, almost like a...
telepathic.
like telepathic, or a little rewind in time or dimensionality.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds exciting.
Yeah, it does. I do dimensionality. No.
I love that. That's a bumper sticker.
It is.
Yeah, I think when you have one experience like that, your brain is definitely opened that there's a lot more out there.
Well, I really think there is. There's been a couple. Of course, on the program here, we talk about so many different things. I know, we call it fringe stuff, but I think we should probably call it stuff that we talk about that most people don't, because they're afraid to look down these avenues. But just in the past week or two, I've been reading a lot of articles that have come out, people talking about Russia wanting to come forth about disclosure, and other countries talking about about this whole UFO alien type agenda. Now, to what degree, I don't know, but my understanding is through some articles, some of the other countries want to come out and say, look, let's quit playing games, let's quit the cover-ups. Let's just put it out there and let people know. It seems like I don't know where I'm going with this, but it just seems like it's all intertwined together, and people they crave for the knowledge, and people have had experiences like with you and your sister. These things do happen. You're not crazy. You're not nuts. I mean, these things do happen to people, and more people are now stepping forward and coming public with it. Obviously, you as a comedian, you get up in front of a lot of people. You're not afraid to talk about what comes naturally to you, or what you're interested in. And I think that's a good thing.
No, sometimes I think I'm getting away with quite a bit right now. Like I do jokes, like I say my aunt she was really nasty. She used to try to give people the evil eye and curse them, but unfortunately she had a lazy eye, so she just would kind of spread bad luck all over the room, kind of thing. And people like it silly like that, but there is a certain place where they, I think when they realize that maybe that I know what I'm talking about, they get a little like, whoa, wait a minute, it has to be done correctly, or not too dark so that it's not scary. Because actually this is true. I had a friend that gave me a mirror, one of those freestanding big brass mirrors, and it ended up to be haunted. And my friends, I had two different friends come over that are mediums, and they both one at a time said, there's a little boy looking at you from the other side of that mirror.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Fringe Radio for a Saturday night. Our good friend Karen Rontowski is here. Karen, again, thank you so much for giving us some time on your Saturday night.
Well, thank you for having me.
So we were talking right before the break, before the creepy music started playing, about this mirror and the little boy.
Yes, it's my friend said you have a little boy looking at you from the other side of that mirror, and I thought, that's very upsetting because I hate children. And I bless my apartment every day with stage and birth control pills to keep them out. No, it really, it was a little boy in there. And I had my friend had to come over and sort of do a pretty big cleansing. It was sort of a lot of incense burning and a lot going on. And it turns out what we found out that night was that my smoke alarm is not hooked up to anything. So it was a very productive night. And then I asked my friend where he got the mirror, and he said he got it from the lady that lived in his apartment for like 50 years before him, and she got it from the boys' school across the street. So that tells me that somewhere in time, there are two little boys talking to each other, and one says to the other one, "What are you looking at?" And the first one says, "I'm not sure, but I think it's a middle-aged woman asking her dog if she looks fat." So I guess on both ends of the mirror we have that covered. We're scaring each other.
Well, mirrors are, I've done some research on mirrors. Mirrors are interesting things. There's a lot more to them than just that reflection or looking back at yourself. I've read of so many different stories and of occurrences of, I guess you want to call them being haunted, but I mean, there's more to them than just a reflection.
Yeah, and I actually, I remember being in, I think it was Gettysburg, we were doing an investigation, and I remember specifically taking a picture in this very haunted room, and they had a mirror facing a mirror, like on both sides of the room facing each other. I think a couple nights ago, I just heard on a radio show, they said that's one of the worst things, that you actually can see things travel from one mirror to the other. So I had never thought about that, and I thought I should look that up in Feng Shui, because there's a lot of, there's a very interesting book called Feng Shui for Ghost Hunters, and I'm sure that's got to be a no-no, because it is very interesting. In fact, hotel rooms are, I don't even want to see who was in the hotel room before me.
Right, right.
So yeah, I guess they're, I think most hotel rooms are haunted except for, probably not the Clarion, because who wants to spend eternity in a Clarion?
Or a Days Inn.
I know. Well, I hope we're not your sponsors.
They're not.
Oh, good.
I think La Quinta is, though.
Oh,
I don't know, but
well.
hey, But no, it's and it's true. When you have a mirror, I never thought about that, but when you have two mirrors looking at each other and you try to grab a glimpse, you just see that reflection go on to infinity.
Yeah, and the same thing with and I think I took a picture in it, but the same thing with, sorry, I'm losing my memory, not just mirrors, but, I didn't know in this other book, the Feng Shui for Ghost Hunting, they said, wind chimes, that's the word I'm looking for. Wind chimes should always be outside the house because they call lost spirits.
Really?
Yeah. I thought, well, that's, I've always had wind chimes inside my house, but and I really have, because I just like a breeze in my house, but I never even thought about that. What an odd, I guess it would make sense, though.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I think a lot of people do. I know my mom does. I think that's an older person's thing. She puts them, she attaches them on the ceiling, on the vents where the ceilings, where the air comes out. So when they're on, they tend to chime around and make noise. Right.
Yeah, I really love that sound. So I don't know. That's. I wonder if you get meditation tapes that have wind chimes on them, if you're in trouble.
Yeah, I think you might be.
See, it gets complicated, doesn't it?
It does. It does. Takes the fun out and puts the complexity back.
I know. I was thinking of that the other day. I had meditation tapes, and I thought, these aren't relaxing if they're the sounds of the Amazon, because then I just feel like I got lost. And I thought they should make meditation tapes that are calming to each person. Like, I would love the tape of the sound of a school bus driving the neighbor's noisy children far, far away. That's calming to me.
and leaving them there at school and staying there, not coming back.
Right. Maybe a leaf blower company closing their doors for good. That would be another one.
That would be another good one. I got a couple questions sent in for you.
Okay.
Our friend Carol out in your area, in your neck of the woods, said she wasn't sure if you said it right, but do you appear at Flappers in Burbank?
Yes. Tell her the next show.
Well, she's listening,
July.
She's listening, so you can tell her.
Oh, hi, Carol. July 14th is the next show. We're skipping June. And she can email me or go to my site, and I'll send her a link. And it's they call it $2 Tuesday, $2 to get in, and 2-item minimum. But that is really an exceptional show because one of my best friends who's an animal communicator is also going to be in the show. She's a comic and an animal communicator named Sonia King, and she's just fantastic. So that's like a special show. So we'd love to have you there, Carol.
Well, that's good. And that's is that one Tuesday a month or every other Tuesday a month, did you say?
The second, after on July 14th, after that, it's going to be the second Tuesday of every month.
Okay, at Flappers in Burbank,
Yes.
California.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and anybody can just go to my website, and I'll send you a link or whatever you need.
Okay, sounds good. All right, we got a bunch of questions sent in for you.
Okay.
Carol, actually, here's a question from Carol. Carol says, does Karen think that as she gets those descriptions that she might be having telepathic communication with the person whose card she is reading?
Yes, because also sometimes I will use phrases and the clients will go, whoa, that's what we say, or that. So sometimes I think like I was talking to someone about that. I said, this is a friend at work, and you'll know them because you guys are like two peas in a pod. And she said, whoa, that's what we say. And I never use the phrase two peas in a pod. So sometimes I think I get that, and I think it's sort of a reassurance that we're on the same wavelength. But yeah, I think it's a little bit of that, or it sounds like it to me, I think.
Okay. Another question for you says, has Karen studied the relationship of tarot cards to the same numbered paths in the Tree of Life? If so,
Yes.
If you were asked to create a card for an unmarked path into the center pillar from a hidden seraphith, I think that's what the word is, representing knowledge called death, would it be called what would it be called and what would it look like?
Okay, so there's actually a wonderful book called The Tree of Life and very many where the tarot is connected to the Kabbalah, but I'm not sure if he said it's the middle. Repeat that to me.
Okay. Let me read it again. It says,
Okay.
Has Karen studied the relationship of tarot cards to the same numbered paths in the Tree of Life? If so, if you were asked to create a card for an unmarked path in the center pillar from a hidden Sephiroth, Sepherith, representing knowledge called Death, Daath, what would it be called and look like?
Okay, Doubt is also the Empress.
Okay.
That is the Greek letter for the Empress, which is also the door, which would kind of make sense, I think, but I'm not positive. Does he mean what card would it be, or what would I call the card?
I guess what would you call it? What would it be called, and what would it look like?
I get to name a tarot card, then I would name it the Comedian. I don't know. Okay, so a secret door. Okay, this is from my knowledge. The cards that have secrets with them are the Nine of Cups and the Page of Swords. So I wonder if he would let me combine my my suits and have something with that. That's a very interesting question. I'm not sure. How would I answer that? I don't know. Maybe he has a good answer. It's such a specific question. Was it a gentleman?
Yes.
Tell him to give us his answer.
Okay, well, maybe he will send his answer in.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got an educated audience, not a bunch of drunks.
No, they know what they're doing, that's for sure.
They know what they're doing. Could be a drunk or two out there, but that's okay. Drunks are fun.
That's a pretty good, then if he's a drunkard, he's channeling a lot of tarot readers, because that's a good question.
No, he's not. He's not. He's a very, very nice gentleman. But again, I have not delved into the tarot cards, but it sounds like it's quite scientific, too.
Yes, in fact, the gentleman that just sent in that question, I bet you he would love a book called The Rabbi's Tarot if he hasn't already seen it. It's really the most in-depth study about tarot, and it actually breaks tarot down into how, I kind of like to say it's like that book, The Secret, but it's the real path, and it's very, it starts with the conscious and the superconscious, and it really breaks it down. I am not that smart. I can only take in about 2 pages at once, and it blows my mind every time. But it's a fascinating book, and it's actually about, the thinking process and the creative process and how it works, and all the symbolism like I said, like I was reading something about the emperor, and his chair is stone because gray is always where knowledge comes together, where everything's not black and white. And it's just fascinating. It's an endless amount of information, and it's not, like I said, you get the little tiny booklet when you buy a deck, but that is not even
Right.
1/100th of what it is.
Not even scratch on the surface.
No, but it does. The more information you get, the more that intuition opens up.
His response back is presently contemplating a theory.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'm going to get a T-shirt that says that on it, and then I'm going to sleep on the bus. People will say that we can't sleep on the bus. I'm presently contemplating a theory.
So are you? That's kind of your day thing now is doing the readings. Do you have an office and everything like that? Are you doing that? Or how are you handling that? Or
Almost all of them are on the phone. My clients are from all over the country, and people ask me, "Is the phone as good as in person?" And all I can tell you is, "Yep." They keep coming back, but yeah, I wasn't really ready for it to explode at the rate that it did. So. Yeah, it's moving quite along, and then next week I'll be in Vegas, so I'll read for my clients in Vegas while I'm there.
Are you going to be performing in Vegas?
Yes, at the MGM.
Oh, very good. What tell us more.
That's at Brad Garrett's club at the MGM. Yeah,
yes.
And it's I think it's Monday through Sunday. I believe it's one show a night at 8 p.m., so people should definitely drop by and say hello. And then so I guess they always say the tarot has to do with gypsies, and I guess it turns out I'm way more of a gypsy than I ever thought.
So you're there for one night in Vegas?
No, 1 week.
One whole week. Now, Brad, that's the guy who played on with Ray Romano, correct?
Yeah, Everybody Loves Raymond. It's his comedy club, and he's not there this week. I think he's there the week after, but he could not be a nicer man. I've worked with him there before, and he's such a great stand-up, but every week when you get there, you get a special text messages from him welcoming you, and he just treats you terrific.
Well, one thing I don't want to say I wasn't a big fan of that show. I just didn't watch that show. But one thing, what I did see with him in it is what a great actor when he portrayed Jackie Gleason.
Yeah.
I think it was a made-for-TV type movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I mean, he was. I was amazed. What an amazing actor.
Yeah. It's people usually get known for one thing or the other, but It's just. I'm with you. It's really. He's another one of these guys, just incredibly talented. Incredibly talented.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about branching off into acting at all?
Yes. You know what? I actually just kind of started something to do a little of that, but it's interesting. Is everything I really love stand-up, and I've sort of gone the path that I know how to. Mm-hmm. But this sounds terrible, but everything is its own game, and I don't know that game. Right. So it's even like people don't understand. It's an art form to learn how to audition. But I go to a lot of acting classes, and I just started kind of gathering friends to kind of put some funny content and short videos on. So, yeah, I would love to do something like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love you. Are you going to be back here in Salt Lake anytime soon?
I don't have a date yet, but I hope to. I just love Salt Lake, and I was just there doing a corporate for the club Wise Guys, and I talked to Keith, and he had said, "Oh, we're going to have you back soon." So, and he's a good guy. So, yeah, hopefully in the summer.
Yeah, and Wise Guys is really, Kevin Smith was just here. I actually wanted to go see him, but the line was literally down the road half a mile. I mean, wow. A lot of, the comedy clubs are starting to pick up again. And again, we, absolutely love what you do.